the role that I'm most known for is, managing Sean Paul for, 12 years or whatever. I think that's the success I've reaped in the industry and the more major impact that I've had. Not that I didn't enjoy the time in management, but my enjoyment of music doesn't really come from the business side of it. It really comes from the creative side. So that's always sort of been funny to me, being a producer, being a manager, and then actually being a musician. And when the people find out that you're a musician and you create music, they look shocked. And they're like, what? Like, you play the guitar? Like, things like that. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, look at me like, I never would have thought. And so that's funny to try and juggle that. And my musician friends tease me all the time because they keep saying like, dude, like, what do you care about trying to be a musician? Look at the success you've had in, in the other fields in music. And I said to them, I say, yeah, but the enjoyment for me is actually just being a musician. That's the fun. Some people like the hustle part, like that's fun, making the deals and, getting this done and getting that done. And I've done it. But I can't tell you that that's the love that I have. The love I still have is just the music part, whether it's creating or just playing an instrument or, just that sort of kind of artsy side of it more than anything else. But I think that's good. I think that's what drives me. I think that's what keeps me. As the business part keeps changing and turning and you have ups and downs, it's easy to fall in and out of love with that section of it, depending on, what you put in, what you get back out. But the music for me always still remains, man. If I still have the joy for the music, it doesn't matter like what trend we're at and who changes, which artist is on top or whatever, I'm still adapting and saying like, but I still love music. This is, I used to like this kind of music 10 years ago or this artist or whoever, but I still like this person today. And that keeps me fresh. In terms of maintaining, I think we're supposed to evolve, actually, to be honest with you. And I think the number of roles I've managed to play, they've all kind of fallen into place one by one. So I started off as like, a guitar student and then went into, DJing in Montreal. And then I went into music production at Trebas and it sort of moved back into coming to Jamaica and then doing record production and then sort of meeting Sean and being an artist manager. And then that kind of went and did its course. And then when I sort of finished that, a colleague of mine who was actually my guitar teacher when I was a kid, he was teaching at the University of the West Indies. He's like, hey man, would you like to try your hand at academia? And he says, I think you're a good orator and you're a smart enough guy to kind of put your head around this. And so I ended up doing that for a few years, for three years or so, right? Like teaching music, business management and artist management, like full on freaking college professor, bro, like, grading papers and lectures and PowerPoint. It's the first time I learned how to use PowerPoint. Can you believe that? That is just a few years ago. Again, new skills, right? To kind of put into new stuff. And so there's a lot of fulfillment out of that as well. And right back to, still doing musical projects as a producer and still doing some work with VP Records. And then eventually they're like, yo, man, you've been handling a few projects for us quite well as a producer and you're actually pulling the projects together. How about an A&R position? You know what I'm saying? Because we need somebody down there to kind of, I don't know if babysit's the right word, but that's part of the A&Ring job, execute, function, administrate, babysit, sort of, produce, guide, all of these things A&Rs do. So it's kind of led me to this point. So it sort of keeps cascading and it keeps evolving. There's definitely people that know me as like, Jeremy Harding, Simma guy, producer. You know what I'm saying? And then I think there's another section of people that know me like, hey man, you're Sean Paul's manager or whatever. I still get emails to this day, like every freaking week. Hey, we're trying to find Sean for this, Sean for that. So I'm still connected, even though I'm not connected with him for the last 8 years in a managerial role, but people still have me as that. You know what I mean? And there's that set of people. And then I got like my ex-students from the university who know me as the college professor guy. You know what I mean? And these are kids which are making their own waves. Like, they're out there, one of them, DJs on the road with coffee and, another set of them, they deal with some of the younger artists who are out there. Like, they're kind of in the industry and they know me as, I took your course at the university. So they don't really know the other versions of me. And then there's some new kids, believe it or not, who know me as like, yeah, man, Jeremy from VP Records. So it's really bizarre, dude. Like, I think you have different hats at different times. And as you move through the kind of eras of your journey, like along the way, different people are going to kind of peg you for different things. And I think that's cool. That's fine. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. I think we have to evolve. I think we build on everything, you know what I mean, to get to where we are. So it's less about trying to, for me anyway, to hold on to like a certain image or a certain, you know, role that people have me as, and more about just keep trying to reinvent, you know what I mean, to kind of stay relevant, stay in the game. I mean, there was a point where I realized I wasn't good enough as a guitar player to make it as a guitar player, which kind of moved me into DJing and production. And then there's a point where I was like, man, I love DJing, but I kind of feel like I'm at the ceiling. I gotta move. So at every given point in time, you kind of feel that maybe I've done what I'm supposed to do in this field, and let me try and push it and move on to something else as well. And it's all about, for me, just like creating impact wherever you go, bro. Just creating impact with various sets of people along the way and along your journey. Because I think it's crazy, bro. We're not going to be like, 60 years old and I'm still like trying to DJ in the club, like making I don't know. No disrespect to anybody who's still doing that, you know what I'm saying? But I feel that the growth is necessary, me personally. Dude, definitely it's an immense amount of pride, you know what I mean, to kind of have made the contribution in any of those roles which I just mentioned, you know what I'm saying, and to influence people and to, you know, to see what people are doing. I mean, even just being interviewed by you guys here today, it feels like an honor to me more than anything else, you know what I mean, to say like, hey man, I got to reach out, and you guys are like, yo, we still need to talk to this guy, man, he still has something to offer. So I mean, that alone, you know what I mean, to me stresses the amount of impact that we have had. You know what I'm saying, that I have had and that we have had as a culture, as a music, as a genre. I think Jamaica in general, I mean, look, the internet has made the whole world smaller. I mean, we can all agree on that, you know what I'm saying? So again, this generation has kind of grown up just knowing that, hey, we have the internet, it exists, I can make records, I can make music, I can send it to a DJ in Russia or Germany or freaking Brazil or wherever, and I can get instant feedback. I can jump on an IG live, you know what I'm saying, with fans from across the world and talk and show them my studio, and they can be engaged. And so the level of engagement, I mean, people, they see it and they feel it. Definitely. I think, you know, of course, because of where we are geographically, we're always very, you know, US minded when we have been. You know what I mean? We love to visit Miami, and we've got lots of Jamaicans in New York. And so, of course, it was always for a long time very about, you know, the US. But as I said, man, the internet comes, it shrinks the whole place. People find out they have fan bases all over the world, you know what I mean, and ways they can engage with people, and they can see the effects of it. And there is some grumbling and there's some complaining like, oh, you know, Afrobeats is really dancehall now, and they grumble, and oh, you know, these Americans are ripping off our music, and, you know, reggaeton, why is that so big? And it started from us. And so you will get corners and pockets where people will say things like that, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's the overall, it's the fact that we have managed to be innovative and they managed to affect people and others around us, you know what I mean? And I think that the true mark of a man, of a culture, is not what you do for you, but what you have done, how many other people you have affected, you know what I'm saying, like along the way. I think that's really what the real deal is. So, you know, I just hope that we can continue to innovate. I can hope that we can continue to take advantage of like the shrinking world space. And even now, in particular, in this time, boy, are we ever connected to everybody else around the world, you know what I'm saying, in terms of our usage of you know, connecting with online and doing business and doing things with people from all over the place, you know what I'm saying? So listen, man, it's changing, and luckily for those of us who are still around, or who are around back then and who are around now to see it, we have managed to see and plot the evolution of it moving forward, but also to be cognizant of not everybody has seen the evolution. You have some people just starting today, so when they come in at the entry point today, your purpose is to really say, okay, gentlemen, we're here today. This is how we're going to move forward. And not spend too much time saying like, you guys don't even understand because back in the day, and like that's counterproductive, I think, for everybody, you know?